Now, as everyone has already been talking about, all things are founded in the 1970s or earlier, and then changed in the 1990s. So FAME is not as old as CBA. It is a little bit older than Rescue. Interesting that everything is begat by something else, as the Society of Antiquaries of London begat the CBA, CBA begat the CIFA. FAME maybe, as an original emergence as Standing Conference of Unit Managers, maybe was essentially founded in reaction to the establishment of an association of county archaeology or officers, because half the people working at the counties were working for the county giving advice, and half of them were working digging holes in the ground. Changed name in 1985, changed name in 2008. And so there, and as of this year, 73 companies are members. Okay, just to remind you all of various figures, the number of people working paid as archaeologists in the UK, 6,700. Number of them that are commercial archaeologists, 72%. Yeah, it's been around 74, 72% last few years. The number of commercial archaeologists that work for FAME members is 3,300, so that's half of all archaeologists. And the amount of money that commercial archaeology generates, brings into the sector every year, is £268 million. The percentage of archaeological investigations in this country that are compliance-led, as I describe it there, so that this is archaeological investigations that are initiated because of requirements of the planning system or of other curatorial systems, 93%. I think it might even be higher than that. It was certainly 90% in 2007 at the end of the Archaeological Investigations Project. I think, okay, 93% I think is very conservative. I think it is probably more than 95% of archaeological investigations are initiated by the planning system. And so they are compliance-led. And so that means they are archaeological investigations that are being done for the public benefit, because they're being done under the requirements of the Town and Country Planning Act, as opposed to curiosity-led investigations. Back to a point that has been mentioned, the great event horizon in the recent contemporary history of archaeology is the publication of PPG 16. I say PPG 16 worked. PPG 16 was fantastic. It allowed developers to choose archaeologists in the same way that they would choose who could be their architect, in the same way they could choose who would be the electricians working on their building. It worked, doubly worked, that it was no longer the government, and thus us, taxpayers, that had to pay for archaeological investigations. It was the developers, who were themselves going to profit, that had to pay for archaeological investigations. So it works in political economy. And it has generated such an inconceivable amount of understanding and knowledge about the past. Like I said, thousands and thousands of investigations every year, every one of which ends up in public domain, almost all of which are accessible through OASIS. It has generated so much knowledge about the past. So by generating knowledge about the past, it's worked as a conservation measure. Arguably, you could say PPG 16 didn't work because there has never, ever been an archaeological site that has been too expensive for the development to go ahead. Very few planning-led projects are stopped because of archaeology. The figure in the Algeo report from 4 years ago reckoned less than 1/100% of planning applications did not go ahead because of archaeology. They also noted that the construction industry has never said that archaeology is an issue that slows it down. There has never been any cases when archaeology has been led to an increase in delay. There has never been any cases in which archaeology can be considered to be contributing to a housing problem. Archaeological process, thanks to PPG 16, Town and Country Planning Act, is just a normal part of development and construction. Sure, there are planning conditions, but you put on a planning condition for everything, for every environmental issue. There's planning condition to make sure that water isn't poisoned, to make sure there isn't too much noise while things are getting built. These are just straightforward. And the construction companies, they deal with all of their conditions by getting someone in, experts in, to deal with that. And that's how archaeology fits into the commercials, into the construction sector, and that's how commercial archaeology operates. So, yeah, I mean, for me to be still thinking about economics and money, always one of my favorite topics to be thinking about. Yeah, if there's a problem with archaeology in the market, it is that archaeology is a commodity industry. It is not actually a value-added professional service that we like to kid ourselves that archaeology is, and that every archaeology company's website advertises its wonderful boutique special attention system. No, we are selling something to clients that have to pay for it. They don't want to, they have to. And that means that all they want is they want to pay what it needs to get the job done. So the problem there is we can't actually charge them very much because they don't want to pay for it. It is easier to charge more when you're running an expensive West End boutique. So this then links on, because we can't charge the clients more than the clients have to pay, because it is very difficult to convince the client end that they want to pay more for something that they don't need to be paying extra for. That's why archaeologists don't get paid very much. Because much as I may think £268 million is a lot of money, it actually only works out at an average of £56,000 per person being generated as revenue. And that person isn't being paid £55,000 or £56,000, or the company goes bust. That person is being paid £30,000. So salaries are low because they're linked to the value that the market places in archaeological services, and these are services that the market doesn't want. Sorry, I'm being the fly in the ointment here, haven't I? So let's just then briefly think about what does FAME want, and what is FAME always wanted. FAME wants procurement so that our clients are better informed about what they can get. And this might then begin to convince clients that they could usefully, and it could be to their benefit, to pay more to get a more elaborate service. We want barriers to entry. Now, that sounds like a controversial thing at a CIFA conference. This is not barriers to entry for individuals. We want as many people and as many different people as possible to be working in archaeology. But actually, we want it to be difficult to set up a company that you set up with one person and their wheelbarrow and their dog to then go out and charge low rates to deliver services, because this brings everyone else down. Everyone else has to then compete with them. So we want it to be more difficult for companies to work in archaeology. We want, unbelievably important for FAME, utterly central to FAME's activity and existence, is that we want to have a safe and competent workforce. FAME has had the sectoral lead on health and safety in archaeology for a long time, because it is health and safety standards and compliance are things that are set by the law, that are set by the Health and Safety at Work Act. So this is why it is not why CIFA does not set standards for health and safety, because it's not up to CIFA. CIFA is not competent to judge health and safety practice. Only the Health and Safety Inspectorate does. And so from that basis, we produce lots of guidance, advice, case studies, examples of where things have happened, where things have gone wrong, where things have gone right. We are actively interested in the concept of measurement and developing a standard method of measurement, and this has just gone live in draft form. This is a model way to cost archaeological projects. This is the way that quantity surveyors cost other bits of construction projects. It is a way that all archaeological contractors will be able to use this tool, and it is freely available, it's part funded with public money, be able to use this tool to present costs to a client. And in a lovely ideal world, which I hope we'll get to quite soon, clients will start asking for costs to be presented in this way so that they can easily compare costs between different suppliers. Inshallah, this then leads to clients having better understanding of process and prices, and so then again might better understand when prices represent something more to them. At the moment, the cost of archaeology is 0.13% of the cost of construction in this country. It is really not a problem to most construction companies that there has to be archaeology to be paid for. And we're interested in innovation and developing new methods and techniques to improve the efficiency and thus improve the value to the clients, improve the efficiency of the archaeological projects. We were delighted to be co-chairing the session that we had the other room just before lunch Okay, then just to be a little bit, okay, this is me folding my arms and just saying, okay, heads up. Just to avoid confusion, on the website, our website, we have a lot of frequently asked questions. They are things like, what does FAME do as a trade association? Well, some trade associations in other industries set standards and enforce those standards. We don't do that. We don't tell our members, thou must not, thou shalt, thou shall. CIFA sets standards in archaeology. That's fine. CIFA doesn't set standards about how to run a business. That's also fine. FAME does not do that. Does FAME regulate its members? No. No, we don't. We don't have rules for our members. Remember, our members are companies, not people. We don't set rules. We don't discipline. We don't investigate. So there is no, because there are not rules to break. That means there is nothing to investigate and no disciplinary process to be put on that. Do we negotiate? No, we can't. Our membership has not empowered the FAME board to negotiate binding contracts on any topic on their behalf or for FAME. So FAME doesn't control FAME members. FAME doesn't actually do things like that on behalf of FAME members. FAME provides information, advice, guidance, networking opportunities. And don't mention the war. FAME does not set or recommend wages in the sector because, remember, for a few years, CIFA at least asked us to participate with CIFA and with Prospect and the industry working group in setting the recommended minima. And for many years, FAME said, no, it's not something we can do. I mean, constitutionally, it's not something we can do. And also, organizationally, it's not something that we would consider doing. CIFA always said that CIFA had taken good legal advice on this, and so CIFA were happy to go ahead. That's fine. One business's legal advice is theirs, and it is important that it's privy to them and no one else. But just because this was going on and on and on, we went and got our legal advice a year, 2 years ago. And I think it is almost certainly not unlike the legal advice CIFA recently read. Competition and Markets Authority says, if you do something like this, if you try to set prices, whether as a ceiling or as a floor, it is trying to manipulate the market. And if as an association of undertakings, so of organizations, Competition and Markets Authority can essentially impose unlimited fines on the organization and fines on the individual directors of the organization and ban those directors of the organization from being directors of any other company. So we were really, really glad that we'd never been doing this. And now that we knew what legal risk was, we definitely didn't want to touch it with anyone else's barge pole. And we're startled that CIFA continued to want to do this. However, that is just me going back over something that I think a few of us might have been thinking about, but no one has been talking about at the conference. So I am sorry to end on I hope it's not being confrontational, but or overly defensive note. But thank you, Neil. Thank you, Chair. That is a presentation about FAME and what FAME does.